So on the diversity dialogue today, I have with me Kirsten Zell. Kirsten is the VP of Ops and Strategy at the Executive Women's Forum on InfoSec, Risk Management, and Privacy. She was formerly the CEO and at Links Tech Partners and Chapter President at ICMCP. And I should tell you how I met Kirsten is thanks to her husband, Christopher Zell, who's been on the show. He's a CISO at Wendy's, who's been on the show multiple times. And a post of his, which I'm going to actually call out over here, is the reason we connected, right? So welcome to the show, Kirsten.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So I'm going to talk about this post of yours. Again, this goes back to when you first started off this new job, I mean, quote unquote new job. It's 4 months into it.
It's a little bit older now.
So you decided you want to take some time off and leave your prior role as COO and wanted to reevaluate, refocus, and spend time with the family. The decision was not easy and also a bit scary, and without knowing what was to come. But as it turns out, life already had something in store for you. And so lots of times when people kind of take a break and just kind of settle into who does they want to be, how did this even come about? And you jumped in with both feet and clearly you're loving it. So talk a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so I was one of those folks who kind of sat back during the pandemic and thought about what really matters, right? I mean, I have 3 almost adult teenagers in the house, 16, 18, and 20. They have their needs. Our youngest struggled a lot with school. We were also in the process of moving. So there was just a lot going on a family level. And that made me reflect on where do I want to be? What do I want to do? I have to say, I loved being a CEO for the organization I was, but from a balance, life work balance, I don't really like the word, but from that perspective, in that regard, it just wasn't ideal at the time. So I decided to make a move before I even had something new lined up. And then the EWF just kind of fell into my lap. It just was meant to be. It just happened. But I was part of those people when we talk about great resignation, right? People changing jobs because of the pandemic, reevaluating. That's me.
So that actually goes into the EWF itself, right? And you talked about personal well-being and health. So one of the things that we as an industry, right, when we talk about, hey, we need to hire more people, and again, I put myself in that bucket as well. Because when I was in a hiring role, it used to be, hey, let's follow the easy path. An easy path is, hey, you have your network, you kind of reach out to your network, and versus going out and looking at places that you would have never encountered. Like I've never gone and actively told my recruitment organization, hey, can we look at community colleges? Can we look at communities that we have not represented enough? So talk a little bit about as you're heading up this important role in EWF, what are the other changes that you're seeing are fundamentally afoot that is going to help make cybersecurity in general more inclusive, and what are the kind of quote unquote just check the box and move on and isn't making any headlines?
So I feel like the pandemic, while it has a lot of stress attached to it for all of us, it also opened up some doors. I think what it did do, it put focus on the industry, on the skills gap that we already were experiencing. I remember trying to hire some analysts. It was hard then, it's hard now, right? But because of the pandemic and because of the need to have more resources, more technology in place, to have these hybrid and remote or work from anywhere working models, right? Organizations needed more support. And I do think that accelerated a little bit, putting that focus on it. And it also increased that diversity factor. I feel like that's a great thing, right? We know we have a lot of work to do, but organizations now are looking for more innovative and creative solutions. And the way for them to do that is through diversity. And for candidates who are trying either to grow within the industry or are trying to get into the industry, this opens up doors as well, because aside from higher compensation and more flexibility, there's much more conversation around culture and inclusivity and authenticity. All of that now is starting to be a huge factor when people take roles, right? And let me think through your question, because you had 2 parts to your question. From a what works perspective, I think the number one thing is leadership and communication, is being aware that people are struggling, people were struggling. I do think we're slowly kind of turning the corner. We're getting more used to the technologies we're using. We did Zoom before, but how much we're using it, how we're using it. I think companies and organizations are putting emphasis on making sure people are taking their time off, people aren't overworked, their organizations. Then I just came from another conversation where somebody mentioned care packages or organizations trying to figure out whether they want to do 4 days a week versus 5 days a week, or sending folks home early on a Friday after a hard work, because we know everybody works through lunch right now, right? But I think it's up to us as leaders to also set the standards. So I try to not work after hours. I try not to send out emails after hours. When I see my team is online, I'm like, what are you doing? Get off, do something with your family. We do need to find the balance. And that means different things for different people. I think it's our job to dial in and understand what it means for our team, individuals on our team, and help them have the tools in place to take off that time.
And it's so powerful, right? As you were talking about people working after hours or quote unquote beyond your regular 8 to 10 hours. So one of the features that I've never used and I started using it recently is scheduled send, right? Just because I'm sending an email out at 9 p.m. doesn't mean the recipient needs to receive it at 9 p.m.
That's
He or
right.
she can receive it at 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m. the next day. So talk a little bit about in this digital world, right? When it comes to hiring, when it comes to inclusivity, I go back to one of our common buddies, Samara Williams, and this is probably the 10th or 12th time I've quoted her on this. I mean, it's a small thing, but so powerful. And she says when she has a team meeting and she sees somebody unmute and then never say anything and mute themselves again, it's a trigger in her mind saying that he or she wanted to say something, but wasn't given an opportunity. Right. So after the meeting ends or during the course of a break or something, she said, hey, you had something to say. Can you come ahead and if you're okay,
reach
talk
out.
about it. Yeah. So what other practices have you seen? I mean, it's never taught in B school and we haven't heard about this. Like, hey, what's a virtual water cooler chat? And to your point about just because somebody's online doesn't mean that they are there for you to connect with them. So what else have you seen in terms of things that we should and are doing?
Yeah, I feel it's a very specific question that depends on the conversation and the team you're working with. But I think the bottom line is to really stay in touch and stay in tune, just like Samara is doing, right? When she sees somebody came off, I think it means different things to different people. But what you can do as an individual is create your own guardrails. For example, if you need an hour to focus, don't have all of your notifications on all the time, because that's what it is. We have gotten used to replying to emails like within seconds, right? The turnaround time on emails has become crazy. If I think back to my career when I worked at Lowe's like years and years ago, I was always quick. But now the standard we're setting, each single one of us, right? It's not the organizations, it's everyone, to just expect a response back within minutes. I think it's crazy. Now, of course, there are exceptions, right? When there's an incident or something, you don't want to go fast. But a normal day-to-day business, I think we all just need to be aware and remind ourselves to create those boundaries for ourselves, to have time to focus, to turn off the notifications, and to proactively reach out to our team members and check in on them. And sometimes, we do a lot of meetings. So even I have that where I have a team and I'm trying to coordinate what's the best meeting cadence. That has changed. It's not what it used to be when you worked in a corporate office, right? You need to find a different approach because everybody has different things on their plate. And even the flexibility plays into that because some folks may have to take their kids to the bus and pick them up. So they're not there at certain times. For them, it might be better to have a late afternoon call when for you, it's not. So you just have to find what works in any situation.